barbecue smoke, the smell of freshly cut grass. That was Harold's life. He was a man of routine, a creature of habit. Every Sunday, rain or shine, he'd be out there tending his lawn, flipping sausages. Harold believed in hard work, in traditional values. He'd built his life on it, brick by metaphorical brick. He'd climbed the corporate ladder, secured a comfortable nest egg, a good life, he'd think, watching the sun set over his manicured lawn. He had no idea how fragile it all was. Harold had always been wary of change. He distrusted anything that didn't fit into his neat, predictable world. So when the whispers of economic turmoil started, he dismissed them. Just a blip, he'd say, turning the page of his newspaper, his brow furrowed. The market always bounces back. But deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted. It grew steadily, nurtured by each news report, each dip in his portfolio. His carefully constructed world was starting to tremble. The first blow came swiftly, silently, like a thief in the night. Harold watched in disbelief as the numbers on his computer screen turned an angry red. His retirement fund, his life savings, all dwindling before his eyes. The stock market, once his golden goose, had become a ravenous beast. It devoured his dreams, leaving behind only a gnawing fear. He tried to remain calm, to tell himself it was just a temporary setback. But the fear, once a whisper, was now a roaring monster. Then came the tariffs, a political move that hit Harold harder than he could have imagined. His investments, heavily reliant on international trade, crumbled under the weight of new regulations. The life he'd meticulously built over decades was collapsing around him. He felt adrift, lost in a sea of economic jargon he didn't understand. All he knew was that his world was shrinking, the walls closing in. As if financial ruin wasn't enough, Harold's personal life began to unravel. His wife, Deborah, once his rock, became distant, cold. The woman who'd promised to stand by him through thick and thin was nowhere to be found. The silence in their home, once comforting, became unbearable. It was punctuated only by the clatter of dishes and the ticking of the grandfather clock, a constant reminder of time slipping away. One day, Deborah was gone. A hastily scribbled note was all that remained, its words etched into Harold's heart like acid. "I can't do this anymore," it read. "I found someone else." The news hit him harder than any financial loss, his world already crumbling, shattered completely. He was alone, adrift in a sea of despair, clinging to the wreckage of his life. The smell of barbecue smoke now brought only a bitter taste to his mouth. The bank came for his house first, then went the holidays, the dinners out, all the small luxuries that had once defined Harold's comfortable life. Finally, they came for his car. It was a sleek silver sedan, his pride and joy. He'd meticulously maintained it, polishing it every Sunday after he finished with the lawn. Now, it was just another casualty in his downward spiral. He stood on the curb, watching as the tow truck hauled away his last remaining symbol of the life he'd once known. The world seemed to blur around him, the sounds of the city fading into a dull roar. He was forced to walk now, his once brisk pace reduced to a shuffle. Each step was a heavy reminder of his fall from grace, his journey from respected patriarch to a shadow of his former self. With nowhere else to go, Harold swallowed his pride and called his children. They weren't thrilled. He could hear it in their hesitant pauses, the forced cheerfulness that couldn't quite mask their resentment. They lived in a world of sleek technology and fast-paced living, a world that had left Harold behind. His son Mark reluctantly agreed to let him stay in their spare room. The spare room was small, sterile. The walls were bare, the furniture impersonal. It was a far cry from his spacious bedroom, with its plush carpet and the familiar scent of Deborah's perfume. He felt like a stranger in his own children's home, an unwelcome guest who had overstayed his welcome. His presence was a constant reminder of their own mortality, their own fear of falling from grace. Section 6. The Weight of Disrespect. Harold tried to be useful to earn his keep. He helped with the dishes, folded laundry, even attempted to navigate the complexities of their smart home system. But his efforts were met with sighs and eye rolls. His traditional values, his old-fashioned ways, were a source of amusement, even contempt. He was a relic of a bygone era, a dinosaur in a digital age. One evening, during a rare family dinner, Harold dared to offer his opinion on a current affairs programme. He was met with a torrent of mockery. "That's not how the world works anymore, Dad," Mark scoffed, his voice dripping with disdain. "You're so out of touch." The words stung, piercing through Harold's already fragile ego. He retreated to his room, the weight of their disrespect heavy on his chest. Section 7. A desperate plan. Sleep offered no escape. Nightmares plagued him, visions of his dwindling bank account, Deborah's empty chair, his children's scornful faces. He was trapped, drowning in a sea of despair with no land in sight. He needed a lifeline, a way to regain some semblance of control over his life. One day, while aimlessly browsing the internet, a pop-up ad caught his eye. It was a website, its homepage adorned with images of smiling elderly people. "Turn your life experiences into profit," the tagline read. Intrigued, Harold clicked through the pages. He learned about a new service, one that allowed people to sell their memories, their life stories, to wealthy individuals seeking unique experiences. The idea was unsettling, yet strangely appealing. It was a way to monetize his past, to extract value from the life that was slipping away. A seed of hope, however twisted, began to blossom in his chest. Section 8. Selling the Future. The process was surprisingly simple. He created a profile, uploaded photos, wrote a brief biography. He detailed his career successes, his family life, glossing over the recent turmoil. He even included a picture of himself standing proudly beside his silver sedan, a painful reminder of what he'd lost. He set his price high, hoping to attract a buyer who valued experience over novelty. Days turned into weeks, each unanswered notification chipping away at his hope. He lowered his price, then lowered it again, desperation gnawing at his resolve. Finally, a message arrived. It was from a woman named Anya, her profile picture showing a young, sharp-eyed woman with an air of ruthless ambition. She was interested, but not in his past. She wanted his future. Section 9. A Soul for Sale. Anya was a life architect, as she called herself, designing bespoke experiences for her wealthy clientele. She offered Harold a significant sum of money, enough to clear his debts and live comfortably for his remaining years. In exchange, he would sign over control of his life. His remaining assets, his few possessions, even his daily routine, would be dictated by Anya's clients. He would become a living, breathing exhibit, a human curio for the amusement of the ultra-rich. The idea was abhorrent, yet Harold found himself agreeing. He was tired of fighting, tired of the constant struggle for dignity and respect. This was a way out, a chance to finally relinquish the burden of his shattered life. As he signed the contract, his hand trembling, he felt a strange sense of relief wash over him. He was no longer Harold, the man who'd lost everything. He was simply a commodity, a story to be told, a life to be consumed. His soul, once so sure of its value, was now for sale.